Hello everyone and welcome back to another Schlip on Switch video. Today I'm trying something new out for my channel, and the folks at Lost in Cult are releasing soon their really cool editions lineup with their entry into physical game printing. And Ryan Brown from them has been really nice to come and do an interview with me, so hope you enjoy it. This is my first time trying something like this, so the quality might be a little whatever, so enjoy. Thank you. Thank you for taking this time and helping me try to do things for my channel. And it's really exciting to see when new limited physical game publishers start out and seeing how things work out. And it looks like you're going to be pinning out some really cool things. So can you tell us a little about Lost in Cult and the new gaming label?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. So first off, yeah, thank you for having me on. Obviously, you are yourself a shining light of the community. As you said before we started recording, we've known each other for a couple of years. It's actually really cool to sort of be on your channel finally and talk about something amazing and cool. So yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, so basically, Lost in Cult, for anyone that perhaps doesn't know, is a video game culture and design studio. Where we create very fancy, he's got examples, where we create very fancy, premium, high design books, typically. We also do vinyl and some other pieces of merch, but we're probably best known for these books that are filled with original artwork from the devs, artwork that we commission from new artists, words from really esteemed professional writers across the video game sphere. And just with our amazing designers that lay out those books, and they are exceptional pieces of art, frankly. And our sort of ethos with those books has been that video games are a serious art form. They're not just a disposable thing. We view them as being a serious form of art, and also one worth being preserved. So it's important, even in our books, that we preserve the stories of how games are made, preserve the games and everything around their culture. So I think it probably makes sense as a next step for us as a company. And it probably doesn't come as too much of a surprise that we're now stepping into doing physical video game releases. Now, I secretly joined Lost in Cult in late 2023 for the specific purpose of setting up and running our new games publishing label. So it's been a long time coming because I joined Lost in Cult and everyone was like, oh, you must be doing marketing, which I have been doing marketing, but I literally joined even then to run this. So, but I think we didn't want to rush it. We wanted to think through what we were doing properly. We wanted to create something, as we've been saying in the teaser, something a little bit different, something a little bit better. I think as a collector myself, and as a collector yourself, and presumably most people watching, there is not really room in the market for another limited run or another super rare. And what they're doing, they do brilliantly at and whatnot. I think we really wanted to do something just completely differently in terms of physical video games. And for those that don't know, I previously worked at Super Rare Games myself. I've been he's got all the examples. So I was previously there myself, running the marketing and helping sign some games and whatnot. Lovely team over there. Please do continue to support them. They're great folks. Yeah, basically just setting up a new physical games publishing label. And I guess we'll get into the nitty gritty of what that is as we're going along. But first and foremost, wanted to do things differently than others. And as I say, we're not really comparing ourselves to some of those other companies. We view what we're doing as something completely different. First and foremost, with the main crux of the item that we're making, which are called editions, all in caps because we're fancy, which are very premium, high-end, well-designed, frankly bloody gorgeous collectible versions of incredible games. We're looking at releasing one game on the Switch, one game on the PS5 per month, possibly one for the Switch 2 in the future as well. And when we do Switch 2, we don't have any at launch, but when we do Switch 2, you can bet that we're only going to be doing full cartridge releases, of course. But yeah, Switch, PS5, one per month. We're launching with 3 at first, just for the sake of people seeing what kind of games we have to work with, which are Thank Goodness You're Here, The Excavation Hobbs Barrow, and Immortality. But we have a huge lineup, an incredible lineup for the rest of the year. And what those editions are someone compared it even from the teaser more to sort of the Criterion Collection and what they do for film Blu-rays, and I really actually quite like that example because it's a lot more artsy, more design focused. You have these limited print editions which come with a manual inside where we, again, a bit like our books, where we dive into a little bit of how the game was made. We interview the developers. We have them tell their story. We have one analytical essay in that booklet as well. Also concept art and stuff. And then lots of other goodies. So that beautiful slipcase, all original artwork commissioned for these games, often by outside artists. Sometimes the developers themselves want to make original artwork. In the case of Thank Goodness You're Here, they did the artwork. And then a big poster, a director's authenticity card, lots of cool goodies inside that. And then we are also, and basically a lot of the, sorry that I'm jammering on, by the way, but a lot of what we wanted to do for these editions when we were thinking about what could we do differently for physical games was to fix sort of the issues that people have with physical games straight off the bat. So, one of which being, I personally find it a bit annoying. If I buy a limited video game and then it comes to retail 6 months later, I find that a bit annoying. So we have fixed that issue by day one. As soon as these editions come out, we think that because these editions have such a different value proposition to them, I think they appeal to a different sort of person, perhaps. If all you care about is just having the game in the case and you don't want any of that fancy stuff, no worries. We've got you covered. We're releasing each game we release. Every single game we release will come to mass retail at the same time on day one. So May 20th is when these launch, or I guess they have launched at the time this is out. The editions, if you want to start collecting an amazing lineup of collections, you can do so. They're limited editions. But if you just want the game in a box, no worries. Target, Walmart, Amazon, all these places through our distribution partner PM Studio, you can buy a retail edition. That was really important. That's not an external company doing those. We're doing those retail releases. But it was just really important to me that, I don't know, I feel like the limited print thing is a necessary thing in order to make certain indie games get a physical release, but also it doesn't feel great having to lock them away behind limited numbers. So this addresses that. They're widely accessible for any number of people that want them. And then also, to go into the preservation thing, I suppose one of our other USPs is we're working directly with Does It Play, which is perhaps a lot of people watching this may already know them because they're part of our collecting community, where they will review physical game release discs and cartridges to ensure that they bloody work, which is what we've done with them before they're sent off to production. Does It Play tests all the builds of the games to ensure that the games work without an internet connection. So you're guaranteed if you take this game off of your shelf in 30 years' time, they'll work. B, that the games will work from start to finish, completable. So you won't hit like some weird game crashing bug that needs a patch or anything. Not saying that every single game will not have any bugs, because they just do sometimes, right? But they will work from start to finish. They're completable. And 3, that all of the existing patches and content up to date are on that cartridge, so it doesn't require a download. And again, we're being very transparent with audiences that we can't contractually obligate developers to never release a patch again, to never release any content again, but we do really, really, really harshly ensure that as much as humanly possible, this is the final version of the games. We do, if there's content that's coming out in the future that we know about, we hold off on printing until it's on the disc or cartridge. We test to make sure all the latest updates are on the disc cartridge. So I'd say there's more to get into, I imagine, but that's probably the main crux of what we're doing a little bit differently. Yeah.
So we've covered a lot already, and one thing I love just from the start of this, when I was looking at that initial email, the fact that you're partnering with PM Studios to make sure that all the games are at retail right away. I'm like, this is showing us that the company cares more about the customer than their product and trying to make a limited thing. And I love that. And with the editions just being such beautiful pieces and collections, it's beautiful just seeing that variety just to get people access to these games in a physical edition. And one thing I was curious about is the practicalities
of saying that it's going to be at retail day one. Is that going to be day one comparing to when the editions are ready to ship, or when the editions go up for pre-order?
Yeah, good question. So basically, using our launch as an example, so all the editions are pre-order on our website. So May 20th, you can go and pre-order those games. At the same time, you can go pre-order the retail edition from retail sites. So I don't know a list of every single site that will sell them, but mass retail. So and you can pre-order them. Now, I guess another thing that we're trying to do differently here is I am trying to avoid a situation where people have to wait a year for a game, because that's kind of late. Now, for these launch ones, we are telling people, please wait at least 6 months for these to arrive. Now, in reality, it will probably ship within 3 months, but we just figure, let's be super transparent, tell people 6, and if they get it in half that time, they'll go, well, hey. That we're actually internally expecting and aiming for 3 months, but just if it turns up 4 or 5 months, just understand that it's because we're seeing this process through. And that's partially why we worked with a successful, already well-established distributor like PM Studio. They already have all the connections to get all those games through into retail in a way that we couldn't from day one. They already have a huge infrastructure to be able to help us with this process really quickly. So yeah, so going forward, the aim is with these launch ones, as I say, we're telling people 6 months. We're hoping to ship within 3 months, but we're working ahead, which is part of the point of this. Now, we already have our whole lineup for the rest of the year and into next year, with very few slots remaining for the next 12 months, to be honest. So we are already working ahead on all of those titles. I've already been working on many of them. So it is our goal to get ahead of ourselves, to start production earlier and earlier and earlier each title, with the hope in the future, and it might take a year or so, but in the hope in the future that by the time we've announced the game, we'll have it already in our hands and then we'll ship instantly. And the same goes for retail. That point may not come for a while, but we will slowly slim down that shipping period, with the only exception of there are some titles, for example, the next game we'll release after these launch titles, which will come in June. I know that we are holding out intentionally from shipping because the developers have told us they're patching the game, and I think most people would appreciate that we've decided to wait for the patch to come on first and then go to production. But even then, we're still only probably looking at within 3 months of that one shipping. So yeah, basically you can go pre-order the editions, you can go pre-order the retail editions, and they'll all ship at the same time. They come as part of the same production run, basically. Just the editions have a variant cover art, but otherwise the actual disc cartridge is the same.
I love that. Also, I just wanted to ask, just like practicalities, with Lost in Cult and editions being based in the UK, I believe you said that the games will be ESRB editions. How is that working as a UK-based company? Is that something you could talk about?
Yeah, of course. And by the way, just so everyone's aware, very much a point of what we're doing is to be an open, transparent book. So anyone ever has any questions, literally ask me. I'm always going to tell you. And if there's some reason I can't tell you, I'll explain why I can't tell you. Yeah, on this point, yeah, I think it was important to us that we worked with an established partner. PM Studios is one of those ones that maybe not everyone knows their name, but they are genuinely one of the most established physical games companies in the world. They work on things that sometimes they don't even put their name to. They are huge. They're very well established in what they're doing. We wanted to work with someone like that because we didn't want to start off doing these releases and fumble our way through some of those elements, and then people get annoyed with us, understandably. And we wanted to launch immediately, going boom, this is what we're doing. We know how it's working. Cha-cha-cha, and that everything goes smoothly. It was also, frankly, important to us that when we're talking about the West, at least, I would say the majority of collectors are probably in the US. Obviously, I'm not in the US, so I'm obviously aware that many people are based in Europe. At the moment, for our launch titles, they are ESRB rated games, and that's what's also inside the editions as well. And we're only looking at ESRB, so US retail for those launch titles. We are looking at options to be able to produce PEGI versions in the future. If not inside the editions, at least retail PEGI versions. But just know that we're sort of smoothing that out at the moment. We don't necessarily have plans, because I think it would be weird if we release PEGI versions of the launch ones later, and people are like, well, I would have bought those ones. So understand that we're not planning to do that for the launch ones right now. But we are looking at ways we may be able to do that in the future. As I'm sure people understand, the minimum print requirements, you hit them again when you do if you're going to do PEGI versions as well. So at the moment, like if we had to pick one option, we figured let's go for the option that suits at least the most amount of people, which is ESRB versions. And how we're working as well. Okay.
Is there going to be an easy way for European-based collectors, if they just want the standard edition, to get those ESRB copies, or is that mostly just for the US audiences, North American audiences?
So at the moment, it would be like buying off of like Amazon US or something. If you just want the standard edition, which should be fairly. We are also looking at talking to multiple retailers who will sort of import them and stock them in. And as I say, hopefully at some point down the line, we can address the standard edition retail end with some PEGI versions of titles. Just know that it's very complicated to make all that happen. But what we're doing for editions at the moment, the plan is that we are stocking. We're actually printing all the editions pieces, sending them over to our partner at PM Studios, packaging the games there, and shipping out from the US. There's also a possibility that we may be able to ship some from our own warehouse in the UK. So our hope is to very much, we want to appease both audiences. We don't want, and I feel that this is an issue, understandably, because it's very complicated with a lot of physical companies where they're either appeasing the European market or they're appeasing the North American market, and usually not both. We're trying to cover all of that. And of course, for the editions that we're exclusively selling off of Lost in Cult UK, obviously we ship worldwide. Because we're UK based, we're not really hit by many of the US tariff problems at the moment. Few. So yeah, and also we're being intentionally really very affordable with these releases as well. Like I think when we announced our teaser, everyone was like, they're going to be £100, £120 games. So I was like, they're not. They're actually really affordable. So they're £59.99 for the editions, and also we have a very standardized price for the retail standard editions as well, which is $34.99 for the Switch and PS5 versions at retail.
So if I'm understanding, I just want to clarify from what you said. So for example, when I order the Lost in Cult books, I'm paying a lot for shipping from the UK. And there are also other UK book publishers that I love getting the books from. So if I'm understanding this, the editions, as a US-based collector, I'll be paying US shipping prices because it's coming from PM Studios in the US. Is that?
That's right. Yep.
Oh,
we're
awesome.
we're trying really hard to cut down on all those costs for people, because we want people to be able to jump in on this, and we know that if you're going to have to pay $30 for shipping, no one's going to. So yeah, exactly that. Like if you're US based, this is actually going to be really, really easy for you, because we are working with a US partner, so we can literally leave them stock with them. At the moment at launch, most of the stock will come from that way, but we are looking into ways to stock some of the, and we'll figure out what the customer split is going to be at launch, I'm sure. And then we're looking into ways to retain some of that stock on our end. So then we go, boom, if you order from Europe, we'll ship. Order from US, ship from US. Easy, quick, cheap shipping either way. At the moment, we're recording a few days before launch, by the way, which is why I'm giving at least some degree of uncertainty. I'm sure if you go on the site, you'll know exactly what's happened. But we're looking at just finalizing. It's likely that for the launch, the edition stock will be sent over to the US and they'll be packed and shipped from there. But for both accounts, we're trying to make shipping as quick, easy, cheap as possible. It's within our intentions that we're not just appeasing one part of the market. We want to appease everyone. And if you're not based in North America or Europe, we do ship internationally from Lost in Cult anyway, so don't worry.
So can you tell us a little bit about, you have a history of working with other publishing companies. What is it like going from that to spearheading the editions at Lost in Cult?
Yeah, incredible, really. I mean, really, really crazy. Just to get super personal for 1 minute, I'm from a very working class background in the UK, and or underclass even, really. So there are not many people from working class backgrounds in the video games industry. It's really hard to get into, as I'm sure many people watching would love to get into the games industry. It's just not very accessible. I have got into it practically from sheer bloody luck. And I'm very, very grateful and very pleased about that. It's yeah, it still feels unreal to go, oh my god, I might actually be running the literal coolest physical games company in the world. That's madness. Obviously, I was at Numbskull in the past, which was retail-based physical releases. Super Rare after that, which was limited print releases, and now sort of heading up this games label, Lost in Cult. And I genuinely, as a collector, genuinely believe it's like the best physical games thing in the world. If indeed physicals, which I don't think they are, but if indeed physicals are on the last legs, we've only got like another generation left or something, I'm like, do you know what? We're making the literal best ones possible. Like, we're seeing it out in a beautiful way, and we'll always be doing something physical, I'm sure. Even if they remove bloody disk drives, we'll do something. But I'm very proud, and obviously really still very proud of the work that we did at Super Rare and the work I did at Numbskull before that. And much love to those guys. I mean, Super Rare is still obviously putting out amazing games, and it doesn't hurt to have another company making even more physical releases.
The more the merrier.
Exactly.
Yeah. So going a little bit off subject from Lost in Cult, what are some of your favorite games? Not just the package, but the actual games. What are some of the favorite games you've worked on in the past at other companies?
Ooh, favorite games I worked on. Well, okay, yeah. So I guess what are some of the favorite games I worked on? For me, like, that's so hard. It's like choosing your babies. But I guess like starting with the easy stuff. Like, while I was at Super Rare, A Short Hike was an incredible one for us to be doing a physical release of. We created a really cool package for that as well. Really amazing game. And then, if I'm being honest, like games that I have like a really close like personal connection with. So was working on the publishing side at Super Rare, so to have a physical release of things like Post Void and Grapple Dog, which I worked a lot more closely on, is really awesome. The mixtapes that I did at Super Rare, don't know if anyone's aware of those, but those were my like personal passion project at Super Rare. Where
those look really cool, even if I didn't get that.
Thank you. Yeah, they're basically tiny little like collection of 30 tiny indie games from like itch.io and stuff that we put on a physical like USB drive for the PC, and that was a big passion project of mine, and I'm really grateful that Super Rare sort of saw it through, because we didn't make any money off it. But I think it just goes to show how much I love indies, because I want to support from the tiniest to the biggest. Yeah,
I don't even own a computer to play games on, so I was like, saw those. I'm like, these are really, really cool, but I'm not gonna pick them up myself.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think
most people, I think not many people collect for PC anymore, so it was a hard sell to begin with. But I'm pleased we did it. I think it's really important to support indies, and that's what we're trying to do here. You know, like the lineup that we have at the moment. I wish I could just sit and tell people some of the games we have signed, because like it's a crazy lineup. We have some
really
incredible
excited
stuff.
to see what's coming, and you know, I know some of the early ones, but I'm really excited to see what's coming later. I have to go in a few minutes, so I'm just gonna ask you a few more questions.
Hit me.
We've seen some other limited publishing companies when they're starting out say this is going to be our release schedule, how often we release games, and then just expand that, and some of them, you know, I've cut back on some of these companies because I just couldn't keep up with their release schedule anymore. Is that something that Lost in Cult in the future is going to try to minimize strongly, or is that something you just can't even comment on because who knows what the future brings? On one hand, it's amazing that these companies are succeeding enough to do that, and I love seeing that for them. But at the same time, as like a consumer, it just, you know, I had to cut back. So I'm assuming that's just something you can't comment on, but I don't know if you do want to.
No, I can comment. I can always comment on everything. So it's absolutely something I've been thinking about, right? So obviously I'm aware as a collector myself that you can't ask people to spend thousands every month. It's not possible. At the moment, we're purely planning to have one PS5 game, one Switch game per month. Is it impossible that one day we may expand on that? Because if we launch, we might have tens of thousands of devs going, pick us, let's do an indie game, let's do an indie game. And it will be hard to just not pick a lot of games. But I think that's what the curation is for, right? Like, it's really important to us that we're being very, very specific with our curation. Is it impossible that we may expand a little bit in the future? Yeah, sure, maybe. We have no plans to, but maybe instead of one a month, maybe we'll have one every 3 weeks or something. But it's really important that we're never going to be in a situation where we're launching 50 a year, but we're launching 100 a year. It's just not going to happen. And that's why we have the retail editions. Like if we could potentially release a game and just go, it doesn't really fit for editions. We think it deserves a physical release. Let's give it a retail release. So on the retail end, we don't really have that specific restriction of one a month. But for the editions, yes, like their own, that collection is really just one PS5, one Switch game a month. If it ever does expand in the future, it won't be by very much. But we have lined up until, we've currently got our pipeline up until like March at the moment, and it's like a game a month. So
nice. Is the actual like physical game case in the editions going to be exact same as the retail, or is it going to have like some like special art on that?
Yeah. It's a variant cover art, so variant slip art. So the actual disc itself, the actual cartridge itself, the same, and obviously tested by Desert Play, made sure that all the content's on there. So even if you're buying the retail version, you're safe. But yeah,
so people that collect
the
cover art variants are going to want to get both.
Yeah. The game case that's inside the editions slipcase has different artwork on it as well.
Yeah, I love when companies that make collector editions or premium editions do widely different art for each component. I've unboxed many that are just like the same art repeated over and over and over. So I love the art that Lost in Cult does for other stuff. So I'm really excited to see how it's going to continue into the editions.
Thank you. Yeah, well, that's very much our company's whole shtick. Like, we have more designers and artists working here than any other role. Like, art is our first and foremost lead. So, yeah, I mean, most of the editions are like original commissioned artwork, either from artists or the devs, on the slipcase, on the variant cover art, on the poster, the sticker. So there's a lot of original art that goes into each of these releases.
Right. So I'm going to have to sign off now, but thank you so much for this interview, and I hope that the editions is a massive success for you and Lost in Cult and PM Studios. I do have to apologize to PM Studios that I forgot to bring a prop for them like I did for Lost in Cult and Super Rare, but I have plenty stuff from them, including some really cool things, and I love seeing what PM Studios puts out all the time.
They're really cool. They're cool.
Yeah. And so I just hope that this is amazing. I'm not sure exactly how much I'm going to be picking up myself personally, but anything that I do pick up is going to be unboxed on my channel. And it just looks like there's some really awesome stuff coming, and I'm tempted.
Thank you, man.
So, yeah, have a great day, and thank you for doing this with me.
Of course. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for watching this video. If you stuck around all the way here, let me know in the comments what you thought of this and if I should try doing more interviews. And if you enjoyed this, like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, ring the bell for notifications on future videos, and have a great day. Thank you for watching. Bye.